Try that.
Hello to you. Am I upside down still? No? Sorry about that. So are we ready to roll?
You're going, there's just nobody there.
Ah. What's happened? Is it working? We're having a few technical difficulties. Hope thought she had the camera up the right way, but it seems not. Yep, are we back? Just tell us if we're back, guys, because we had a little bit of trouble there for a second. Yep, we're away. Okay, so for those of you who haven't been to a Taste and See cooking demo before, we want to welcome you this morning. And to those of you who have been before, we hope you have a good time as well. It is an amazing day out there this morning. The sun looks really beautiful. And I hope you guys are all having a great time. I hope lockdown isn't too difficult for everybody. But anyway, we're going to start with breakfast this morning because breakfast is breaking the fast. So it's introducing food into your system after not eating all night. So that means no sneak trips to the fridge in the night. So we're going to start with, who's heard of SLAP or LSA, which is of course the way that we get our omega-3 and omega-6s. We're going to just show you how easy that is to make this morning, because really you don't know how old the nuts are when you're buying them from the supermarket. So they go rancid really quickly. I suggest that you make a little bit every day, but of course that's not always practical. So if you can't, what I do is, and the recipe is just equal quantities of everything. So we call it SLAP. Sunflowers, linseed, almonds and pumpkin seeds. And that's just equal quantities. And you need a high-powered blender. So you just pop them all into your blender. And then you just whiz them. And truly that's as easy as it is. Those little Nutra bullets, they will actually do this. They're pretty good actually. Not so great long term, but you know, to start with, if that's all you can afford in your budget at the moment, they're great. So we pop these on here. You might want to put your sound down. My blender's quite noisy. A little bit more. Might just get my little doofer. Did anybody make yesterday's recipe? Oh, not yesterday. What day was it? Friday. And that's us. So it's really simple. It's just about grinding nuts. But what you get in here is you get your omega-3s and omega-6s, and you don't have to leave it at just sunflower, linseed, almonds and pumpkins. Of course you can put anything you want in here. So you can put walnuts, because walnuts are high in both omega-3 and omega-6. Or you can put Brazil nuts, because Brazil nuts are very high in selenium. And selenium apparently is quite deficient in our soil. So having 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day gives you your selenium.
Nice to see we've got a couple first timers coming in today.
Oh, hi, nice to see you. Okay, so you just take this out of your blender. As you can see, because it's nuts, you don't want to blend it for too long, because you'll make nut butter. You'll make a nut butter. Now, so I'm going to put this into this little AG jar, and then keep it in your fridge or in your freezer is better still. And if you do pop it into your freezer, whoops, I gotta go everywhere. You don't have to worry that it'll freeze up and you won't be able to get it out, but you can just pull it out every morning when you go to have your brekkie. Oh, that's what it looks like there. But you can pull it out every morning when you go to have your brekkie and just get a tablespoon, and it won't be frozen because of the oil in the nuts. But that's your SLAP. And that's as easy as it is to make. I've made a nice little mess here already this morning. Okay, has anybody got any questions or thoughts or ways that they do it that we can learn from out there? Not this morning? Okay.
You've got a question here. Can you make nut butter in a Vitamix?
Can you make nut butter in a Vitamix? Absolutely you can. It makes the most beautiful nut butter. Nut butters are quite expensive to make, and you've got to remember that the best tasting nut butters, obviously, in comparison to what we're used to buying, are the roasted seed ones. And roasted nuts and seeds aren't quite as good for you as just raw. So yes, you can. Just basically you just blend it a lot longer. It is hard on your motor. It is really hard on your motor. Now
We've got lots of people coming in fast.
Good morning.
But Erin was asking, what was it that we just made again?
So we just made slap, which is your LSA. We call it slap because we put sunflowers. Sunflower, linseed, almonds and pumpkin seeds. That's just so that you have your omega-3s and 6s there on your brekkie in the morning. So a tablespoon of that a day sprinkled on your breakfast or somewhere through the day on your salad, that's enough omega-3 and omega-6 for you for a day. Okay, the next thing that we're going to look at this morning is sprouting the buckwheat. Now for a few of you, you'd seen on my page that I talked about sprouting. We have had a little giggle. I won't mention your name, but someone has been doing what I said. So you put your sprouts in water and you just, it doesn't matter how many, just as many as you want to put in there. You put your sprouts in water and you leave them for at least 12 hours in the water. And then the first thing that you're going to do is you'll find that, of course, because they've been dried and that will rehydrate them, they're going to swell up and the water's going to go away. Now this is buckwheat, because we're going to show you over this next week how buckwheat goes. It's one of the slimier grains. So it goes very slimy once it's had the water in, so you need to rinse this and wash it at least 3 times a day. But to start with, just leave it in the water for 12 hours. So that's our buckwheat. Now, when you have your first 12 hours done, then you either can use a sieve or put muslin on top of your AG jar with your lid on and drain it out that way, or you can have your kitchen sieve, tip it into that and rinse it out with water. With buckwheat, you want to keep rinsing it until you'll see it's a slimy, almost like snot kind of texture. And you want that to, once that's gone away, then they're done. So once you've done that first rinse, you're never going to put them in water again. You're only going to rinse them without water. And that's for my special friend who left them for a couple of days. Rinsing them beautifully, but putting them back in water doesn't work. But good on you for trying.
We've got our family from America watching.
Which family is that one?
The cauliflowers.
The cauliflowers. Hello to you. We miss you so much. Yeah. But anyway, we're glad you're here with us today. Okay, so now we're going to do some cooked grain. So I love having a different grain every day for breakfast, because that means that in each grain you've got different nutrients. And so if you have a variety of them over like 7 days, example, you can have rice, you can have quinoa, you could have barley, not if you're gluten-free, but you could have barley, you can have corn, you can have millet, you can do lots of things with grains, and we've got a few of them up here. Now today I've done all gluten-free breakfasts, just for those of you who are gluten-free. And like I said yesterday, we'll head to the stove. Like I said yesterday, you cook on principle. Oh, and I got jammies pants again. I told you I'm staying 4 weeks in my jammy pants. Sorry. So different grains. And today we've got rice. So I've cooked that because it obviously takes an hour. Now use brown rice, or red rice, or black rice, or green rice, but don't use white rice. White rice has had all the nutrients taken out of it, and you're just left with what's left? Starch. No nutrients. So always use a brown rice. I like to use a short grain rice or a medium long grain rice when I do a breakfast, just because you'll see it's sticks together a little more. If you've only got basmati or if you've only got a long grain, then that's fine to use. Now, the principle of this is it needs a liquid and it needs a fruit sweetener. Now you can use any fruit you want to. Normally I use rice and dates or rice and raisins, but today I don't have them, and I kind of did that on purpose just so you can see the recipe is rice and dates, but you can use whatever you like. You might not like dates. So let's use cranberries this morning. I love cranberries. Hope's a cranberry freak too. The other thing that's really yummy is we've got some delicious wild cherries in the shop. They're expensive, but they're yummy. Okay, now all your fruit again has different nutrition in it. So don't go, I just like dates. Just have experiments with your palate and try all sorts of different things. So we're going to I put about 2 cups of rice, dried rice in here, and then about 6 cups of water. And I just boiled it down. It took about 45 minutes for the water to go away. So I bring it to the boil for the first 10 minutes. I boil it quite rapidly, and then I turn it down a little bit, or I move it on my stove, and just to have it boiling nicely. And then after about 20 minutes, I take it off the boil completely, leave the lid on it, and then just put it to the side and let it use up all that water. And you can just leave it alone. Now we'll put some fruit in here. I've put it's about a cup and a half. There you go. Now the other thing that we do like to have in our breakfast cereal is we really like, I just make sure I'm getting coriander. We really like coriander. So some dried coriander in your brekkie. Make sure it is coriander, because I have been known to put cumin in there. Not so tasty. Okay, so about a tablespoon and a half of dried coriander. And this is where you can put your plant-based milk in. You can use coconut cream. Obviously try and use as much organic stuff as you can. And Macro is bringing out, it's not the best brand on the market, but it is bringing out some nice organic stuff. You can put coconut cream in this, or you can put soya milk. You can make your own almond milk or pumpkin seed milk, sunflower seed milk, anything you want to. You can buy rice milk, but this morning we're going to put coconut cream in here, and it makes it really yummy. For those of you who have already tried these through the cafe, we do have them there. We make them up for people for breakfast in the morning. So yeah, this is quite yummy. Now my suggestion, if you're going to work, because people say, oh, it takes so long to make breakfast when they're comparing it to just opening a packet of cereal. What I do is when you get home from work at night, throw your rice on or throw your grain on and cook it at night, then put your fruit and your milk or your creams in, and then leave it. So that in the morning, all you have to do is heat that up. And that makes it a really quick breakfast, you know. Now, in the morning, or over a little bit of time, this will get thicker. So then I just get some water in my pan, and I'll do it now because I already know it's going to be thicker. And so I add the equal amount of water as I have the milk or the cream. And that is rice and raisins, or rice and dates, or rice and cranberries, and you leave that to sit overnight, like I said. Now, obviously that's a lot of breakfast, but what we like to do, well, personally I have to be honest, I don't do it because we eat it, but what I do recommend is that you can get little zippy bags, little Ziploc bags, and with your extra, just put your extras into Ziploc bags, and then you can freeze it all down. Now when you take it out of the freezer, it will look quite separated, but don't worry about that. Just when you heat it up, give it a good stir. You may have to add some more liquid, and it's as good as gold. So if you made enough for say 7 meals, and you did that every day with every grain that you're making, you've just made 7 weeks worth of meals. Well, breakfast. Isn't that awesome, eh? So you just can pull them out of the freezer the night before and have them ready. So it really is just changing habits. It doesn't mean that you have to be in the kitchen all day cooking. I do love being in the kitchen all day cooking, but you don't have to be in the kitchen all day cooking. Has anybody got any questions, thoughts, queries about that one? Not this morning. You're very quiet this morning. Either that or Hope's being quiet on me. Now this one is quinoa. Quinoa is a lovely grain. It is a really nutty kind of grain. Now come in and have a look how this, so it cooks but it's not gluggy. It should be able to still be separated. And when you squeeze it between your fingers, you want it to feel that it's still not hard, but that it's still got a little bit of a nice firm feeling to it. And when I say firm, I don't want you to think hard, but not sludgy, not sluggish. Yeah, so that's really nice. Now again, you can use any flavouring you want to in this. You don't even have to flavour it if you don't want to. You could just add coconut chips and dried fruit to it and a milk. But what I like to do is I like to make a sauce for quinoa because it's quite a strong grain, and we're going to use... Oh.
While you're getting it, what sort of coconut cream do you recommend?
I did use the macro coconut cream just then, but you can use any that you like. Now for this one, I'm going to use some dried pineapple. And normally I would rinse my dried pineapple because they do put a sugar coating over that so it doesn't stick together in the packet. But because I'm doing it here on the camera, I haven't done that. I've done it here for the muesli. I've rinsed off the pineapple and rinsed that sugar off that, because you don't want sugar in your diet, particularly not white cane refined sugar. And when I say refined cane sugar, I mean brown sugar, raw sugar, white sugar. Anything that comes from the sugar cane is very refined, except for molasses. Molasses has got all the goodies in it. Now, I'm going to use some soya milk in this. You can just use water if you want to. You could use water and cashew nuts or water and almonds. Just makes it a bit creamy. But I'm going to use some soya milk. We'll put the recipes up after so you've got an idea of quantities. But the recipe will be about a cupful. Okay, pop your sound down again. I'm going to be noisy. A little bit more. So I love to leave this so that it still has a few little chunks in it. I think it's really nice when you get your grain and it's still got some chunks in there, that it's not all just smooth. So pop this into your, can you see the chunks there coming out? So I've left it quite chunky.
We're getting a few comments on the coconut cream.
Yes.
There's some people liking the brand Carver coconut cream.
Oh, yes.
Also Pam's, because it has the least fat content and limited additives.
Sure.
Why is the reason you tend to use the macro?
So I do like to go for organic. I try and go for organic as much as I can. Remember, fat content again is, so this has got a little bit of maize flour in it. That's all it's got in it for thickener. So it's not too bad, but any of those others, I haven't looked them up too much, but I'm not saying, just have a good look when you do your labels. I'm not really here pushing product, just saying have a look. I try and go for organic first. I mean, Ceres does a beautiful coconut cream, but it's nearly 2.5 times the price of normal coconut cream. And I'm trying to make this so that all of you and any of you on any budget can cook this food for your family, because it's definitely a healthier way. Now this is your brekkie. So this is a beautiful quinoa. Now you can use white, black, red, or a mixed quinoa.
Rochelle just asked, could you use canned fruit in that sauce?
You can, but canned fruit, because it's not quite as concentrated as your dried fruit, it's not going to be quite as sweet, darling. But what we do like to do is chop up lots of raw fruit and have that on top of your quinoa, okay, or on top of any of your breakfasts. Okay, well that's us for that lot this morning, and then we're going to make some muesli. So, how many of you like muesli or granola if you're American? Yeah, anyone? Hope's not talking to me. Okay, Hope really likes muesli. I thought she'd say yes me, but she's not talking to me this morning, Amelia. She doesn't like the sound of her voice on the camera, so that's the trick. I'm not so big on muesli, but Hope really likes it. So, we're going to make some muesli here. Now, I'm going to use quinoa flakes. I don't know if any of you are aware of quinoa flakes, know what they are. They're similar to rolled oats, except that they're gluten-free. Now, rolled oats technically are gluten-free if they haven't gone through a process plant that has had gluten in it. So, we're going to put your quinoa flakes in here. And again, and now you'll see why I didn't have to wipe out my blender. And some coconut chips. Coconut chips are really yummy. Now normally I wouldn't cook the coconut chips if I'm making muesli until the very end, but with quinoa, because it's got a very strong nutty flavour, like rolled oats takes on the flavour of a lot of other things, quinoa very much has a taste all of its own. So often people, when they first try quinoa muesli, they're not that fussed on it, but you get used to it, and it's great if you're gluten-free.
Anne here just asked, can you use coconut cream for whipping? And also Margaret asked, where do you buy these quinoa flakes from?
The quinoa flakes you buy from Taste and See, and yes, coconut cream you can whip. And it's great. Just put it in your fridge. Make sure you get coconut cream and not coconut milk, otherwise you'll be disappointed. Okay, so I just mix this with my hands, and if you want to, now you don't have to, but if you want to, you could put some cashews in here as well and roast them. You could put almonds in here, you could put Brazil nuts, you can do whatever you want, but a few cashews, like a cup of cashews, very nice. If you are trying to just watch your weight or watch the fat content and things, don't add the cashews. You know, there's no have-tos here. Like we said yesterday, we very much cook on principle. Okay, now again, I would suggest that you choose the fruit that you like. So you could do dates here. I don't have dates at home this morning, and I didn't want to unnecessarily run down the road and grab some dates. So I'm just using pineapple again. Have you got another question?
Yeah, it's for the previous recipe. But with the quinoa, do all the colours take the same time to cook? And could you combine them and cook all of them together?
Absolutely. Yes to both of those. They both take the same time to cook, and I used the tri-coloured quinoa there that you get at Taste and See as well. I like it because they've all got different nutrients in them. Okay, so I've just added the pineapple and the water. Now remember I said that I had already taken the sugar, so I'd rinse that off the pineapple. Now that's not to say that there might not be a little bit in the pineapple, but the truth is that we've done the best we can. So again, I'm going to blend, I'm sorry. That's the joys of living up here on the a little bit at the start, and I mean, feel of it if you use your fingers. Hold them out like little forks and just lift it and run it through. You don't want to turn this into wallpaper paste. Your kids might, if you've got little children, they might want you to turn it into Play-Doh, but that's not really what you want for muesli. So you're just going to lift it up and shake it through. Lift it up and shake it through. Lift it up and shake it through. So it's pretty easy. Now, muesli, unfortunately, isn't that cheap to make. And you'll find, like when we make it down at the cafe, we actually don't put a markup on it, just because it isn't cheap to make once you put your dried fruit and things in it. So it should look like this. How it's got little bits that's still a little bit lumpy that have joined together, that's how your muesli uncooked should look. Now please don't think that it's okay to eat this just like it is, because the grains do need to be cooked down. It breaks down the simple sugar for your body, and you do need to do that. So it breaks down the carbohydrate into a simple sugar so that your body can digest it. So I know there is some talk out there about eating raw oats and raw quinoa grain, but from what I've learned and my perspective, I wouldn't recommend that, because we really do need those carbohydrates to be broken down well. Okie dokie. And all I would do from there with that muesli is I would just spread it out on baking trays. Okay, I've made a nice little mess here. I had a giggle yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday, it was a couple of days ago. I had someone, it was the last day we were open in the shop, and I thought you might like this. They said, oh, maybe we need to change the name of our store at the moment from Taste and See to Let's Wait and See. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. I thought that was pretty funny.
Would soaking the grains overnight break down the starch to simple sugars as well, or just cooking?
There is a process in the cooking that does a way better job. So, personally myself, I favour just cooking them. Okay, so you just spread this out so that you've got room for it to bake. Now, for those of you, if there's any people who are raw foodies out there, and I'm sure that there probably are, you can dehydrate this. So you could put this onto your dehydrator tray and spread it out so that it's not actually getting cooked. It'll be under 40 degrees, and then you can just dry this out that way. Now, if you were going to do that, I would definitely recommend soaking your quinoa overnight, like leave it like this overnight before you start drying it. And we'll sneak over to the oven. I was very clever and had it already. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, my hot stand, sorry. Wandering around. I'm not a profession, but I am trying to just help you. And this is what it looks like when it's cooked up. So it's nice. Don't leave it in there till it's too crunchy, or it will be really hard when it's cooked. But also, the way that you can kind of feel whether it's done is it shouldn't feel moist. So if it still feels that damp, moist feeling, just leave it in there a bit longer. Now, the way I did this today, because we're doing a cooking demo, I kind of did a hurried cook. So I had my oven up a little bit higher than I normally would, and I cooked it speedily. But what you can do is, if you have your muesli ready, and let's say you've done a cook, you've baked something, you can put your muesli in afterwards, and you don't even have to have your oven on, and just leave it in there. Like if it's been on a high temperature, just leave it in there for a couple of hours. And have a check every now and then. You might have to turn your oven back on to about 150 or so, but yeah, it cooks up really nicely. Now here's the choice from here. You can choose to add your sunflowers, your pumpkin seeds, your linseeds, all your different nuts and things, chop them up and add some, and you can choose to add dry fruit if you want to, of whatever choice you want to. Otherwise, you can just eat it like this. Now, this morning I added a little bit of ginger, dried ginger, into our pineapple mix in this one, just because that's the way that if I was going to eat it, that's the way I like it. So, any questions? No questions this morning. You're all very quiet this morning. Well, anyway, that's us for today, and we love being here with you. Really sorry that we can't be with you in person. Hope that this is helpful. We're aiming to try and do a cooking demo for you every day, except obviously on Saturdays or Sabbath when we have a rest. But otherwise, and we're going to be, God willing, open on Thursday down at the cafe, so down at Taste and See, and what you'll be able to get there are your dried ingredients, and they'll be all organic. We aren't having any bulk bins at the moment. Just with the virus, we're taking out that risk factor. So everything will either be bagged up or bought in already pre-packaged, and then we are allowed to make juices and salad boxes. But other than that, there'll be nothing down, no cabinet food. Yep.
Was the dehydrating after cooking or for the people who do raw food?
No, for the people who do raw food. Yeah. No, you don't have to dehydrate it as well as cook it. Yeah. Okay, my friends, have a great day. Know that we really do love you, that Jesus loves you even more. Okay, bye.